And this is where it all began. Behind me are markers indicating the supposed crash site of a UFO spaceship and 3 alien bodies found in 1947.
It is now the mid-1990s. The Roswell story had escalated and the Air Force report had stoked the fires of conspiracy. There's so much buzz about Roswell that America had gone alien crazy. The X-Files, Outer Limits, Star Trek were the top TV shows. Independence Day and Mars Attacks were in the movie theatres.
I didn't know if it was, and some little creature was going to come out and get us, or, you know.
People are being abducted. We're being visited by extraterrestrials, and it's time for people to awaken spiritually.
Then something else emerged, and with suspiciously perfect timing. It was one of the most controversial pieces of film ever to hit TV screens. It's claimed that this is a real alien autopsy and that the critter being cut up was recovered from the crash site at Roswell. An Englishman named Ray Santilli claimed he discovered this allegedly authentic, shocking footage from a military cameraman in Florida. Recognising its shock value, Ray was looking for a buyer. Enter Bob Kiviat, a long-time Los Angeles producer of paranormal programming.
When I started communicating with Ray Santilli's offices in England, it was very obvious that Ray had waited and hoped that someone like me, with network TV experience with UFOs and aliens, would contact him. As far as I was concerned, if he was claiming he had secured footage of the Roswell event, autopsies of the creature, it sounded so too good to be true.
More than a little intrigued, Bob Kiviat boarded a plane to England to see if this footage was worth all the hype.
Ray Santilli took out a tape, he popped it into a machine, and my mouth dropped open. Looked like a little female alien that was pregnant, because right away my mind's going wild with ideas about what this might be. Looked like a science fiction movie, literally. Then the scene unfolds, and the rest is history. I watched the entire autopsy of this creature, pretty much, that the public has since come to know as the alien autopsy, and with my mouth hanging open, I'm sure. I can't believe I even said a word. Maybe I said unbelievable. Maybe I said incredible. It looked potentially authentic.
Many things have been said about the authenticity of this autopsy footage, but how do we find the truth? First, let's look at the room. This was supposedly a small medical room in Texas. There's nothing that indicates that isn't true. The clock on the wall is a General Electric model, and they did make these in 1947. The telephone is a standard issue Bell telephone, also authentic to 1947. The tools? Correct. The table? Correct. So, okay, the room looks right. What about the doctors? Well, firstly, autopsies aren't normally done in contamination suits, but of course, if it is a creature from outer space, it's perhaps better safe than sorry. Although it's also very convenient that everyone's face is covered, including the person behind the glass. Those alien germs must be very, very strong. But there is a bigger question. We on this planet have all evolved from a single-celled organism. And on Earth, we range from looking like this, to this, to this. What is the likelihood that aliens evolved with 2 eyes, 1 nose, a mouth, 4 limbs, not to mention genitalia kept in the same place as ours?
This is extraordinary, or so well faked that if it's faked by a master.
what, Master? Was it Ray Santilli? Was it a crack special effects team? Or the mystery cameraman? We may never know, because when Bob Kiviat bought the footage from Ray, there was one important catch. The cameraman had to remain anonymous.
He will never be contacted again. I can't interview him. There's no guarantee I'll ever meet him as part of the documentary.
And so it seemed everyone got what they wanted. To date, it has not been proved whether the footage is real, but anyone who previously didn't know anything about Roswell could now join in the argument.
They're already gone.
The Roswell legend was growing. The debate around the alien autopsy only added fuel to the fire. America is now obsessed with aliens. With all this talk about little green men, you would think the Air Force wouldn't touch Roswell with a 10-foot pole. They explained it already. It was a mogul balloon. Right? In 1997, the Air Force came out with another 300-page report. This one was called The Roswell Report, Case Closed. Case Closed claimed to explain the sightings of alien bodies by witnesses. Another simple explanation. Crash test dummies. Nick Redfern is a UFO investigator and author of 7 books on the paranormal. When the crash test dummy theory came out, he immediately formed an opinion.
Roswell continues to defy explanation, and I think because of that, the mystery continues. And, you know, people say, well, maybe a UFO crashed, maybe it was a mogul balloon, maybe the crash test dummies. But then, you know, people legitimately ask, well, is it possible it really was all a mistake for a weather balloon? Personally, I don't buy that theory, and I find it very suspicious that the government has come out with these various different theories.
Why on earth was the Air Force dropping crash test dummies into the desert? To test things like ejection seats at high altitude. Sounds reasonable. The only hiccup is that they didn't start dropping the dummies until 1953.
And from 53 to 47 is 6 years. That's time travel for crash test dummy, which is frankly absurd. Secondly, the crash test dummies had to be the same size and weight as pilots.
Witnesses have told us the height was 3.5 to 4 feet tall. The color was variously described as pinkish green, grayish green, slanted